Good morning. It is Family Day weekend, so just a reminder that you are all invited and welcome to come join us for Family Day on Saturday. Also a reminder that students and their families are allowed to fellowship in this room after Family Day is over, and they can kind of be maybe out in this front area, but they are not allowed anywhere else on campus. And if you see somebody, it's all of our responsibility to kind of shepherd people in the right direction. Don't assume that somebody else is going to do it. Don't assume it's somebody else's job. It's all of our responsibility here to make sure that people stay in the boundaries. So if you could help us out with that, I'd appreciate it. And other than that, have a lovely weekend.
Good morning. Real quick, I just want to let you know that we have our annual Coleman Park picnic coming up. It's going to be Friday, June 8th, and we are just excited to have everybody join us. It's an event for the students, ITPs, and staff. We will need some ITPs to help us with the transportation, some as drivers, some as people riding on buses. But we just want to invite you, especially the staff, to bring your, well, for the staff, please bring your families. We would love to have them join us. We are going to send out a link to kind of RSVP just so that we can get a head count so we know how much food we need. Okay, so when you see that come through, just please let us know whether or not you're coming so we can plan accordingly. All right, thank you.
Okay. Well, I am very loud. Is that better? Is that good? Yeah. As I look around, I realize I don't necessarily know everybody in the room. I'm Kris McFadden, President and CEO of the organization, and it is always a pleasure to be able to get to spend some time with all of you. I've been out and about and traveling a lot lately, so I don't think I've been here in quite some time, and have not been able to say thank you for what you do to make this thing work. So again, without your hard work and dedication to this mission, it doesn't work. So you are all absolutely critical to the success of this mission, and I am very thankful to be able to serve along with all of you. This morning, today is the day, right, Heather? Okay, so you guys know that there's like a little training today? Were you all aware of that? Okay. I'm going to keep it short, though. That's a good thing. So we are all in. Today, I really want to talk about organization, pretty much an organizational update. I like to do this every once in a while, but probably more informal than formal. And I think that it's always good to have a reminder of the vision, to know where we have come from, the ideas that have brought us to this place, and then things that we are doing to continue to get better as an organization. Just as a reminder, and I know I've talked about this a lot, but not everybody's probably heard this, when we began this journey a while back, however long it was now, a year or two, when we started thinking through the ideas of what can we do to be better for the community, better for the local church, better for the people that we serve, better for the state of Pennsylvania. We were really struck by these statistics that we often see, and the one that always grabs me in a crazy way is the one between 2000 and 2016, that national statistic of over 600,000 overdose deaths in the country. And again, in 2015, in this state, over 3,500. In 2016, over 4,600. And the trends just continue to go upward. So we as an organization, we prayerfully decided that we needed to do more. We had Amber and the admissions team look into what were people actually calling us for, and we found that we were probably helping somewhere around 20 out of every 100 calls that came in due to just the needs that people had. And we decided that we needed to figure this thing out, and coming to realize that we had a big, much bigger mission field than we probably ever imagined. We were drawn to Luke chapter 5, and we began to name this concept Project 80 with a cool little trendy hashtag in front of it, because we couldn't think of anything better than that. But the concept in Luke chapter 5 of Jesus calling the disciples out into the boat and saying, hey, throw the nets on this side. And of course, Simon Peter, as he's well known to do, he complains. He says, Lord, we're tired, we've been doing this. However, because you said it, Lord, we'll do it. And when they threw the net on the other side of the boat, it began to catch so many fish that it started to tear the nets, and they started to sink. And they're calling the boats on the other side, get over here and help us to catch this for this large catch. And both of the boats started sinking because there was such a great catch. And then the story ends off with the line that you will no longer be, fishers in this sense, but you're going to be fishers of men and women, people in general. And for us, that was very impactful, because we realized that we always had a net. When we had our long-term program, in and of itself, we always had a net. Just lots of fish got through that net. And so for us, it was really an expansion of the net and then a kind of a tightening of the mesh on the net in order to not let anything go through. So that was the original strategy for why we wanted to add things. There were a couple goals involved in this. And number one goal involved in some of the services was very simply the preservation of human life. When we see these hundreds of thousands of people dying, you cannot evangelize a corpse. So we wanted to get in front of that and being leaders in this and doing that. Providing expanded levels of care was our second goal, and having more options for more people to get into these nets. And then the obvious one is number 3, is to facilitate opportunities for people to meet the Lord Jesus. I've heard a quote, and I've changed it a little bit, but I think it was very appropriate, and I've heard it a lot recently. If the pathway to future success was well lit, it would be a crowded destination. And I think that's a really good one. If the pathway to future success was well lit, it would be a crowded destination. However, we know, having pioneered things that have never been done in the history of Teen Challenge, that that's just simply not the case. Someone has to have the courage to lead. Someone does. And that is what we, as an organization, are doing, and lives are being saved because of that. And that's a really powerful thing. And that's a very vision-oriented thing, mission-oriented thing as to why we're doing what we're doing. So there's a couple things that I've noticed and I think are very important, and one of which is there's been a culture of continued improvement is kind of the only way I can really think of saying it. But there's been a raising of the level of expectation for everybody throughout the organization. And I think everybody who's been here for a while knows what that feels like and is beginning to see what it looks like. But it's becoming evident, in my opinion, every single day with a heightened level of professionalism that is expected for each and every one of us as we move this mission forward. And I think you can see that in the way that we are doing what we're doing on a regular basis. And it's really because of all of you who have stepped your game up and stepped your levels of professionalism up and stepped up in every way in order to, again, move the mission forward. And I think that is hugely, hugely important. But at the same time, we are very eager to see that continue and that continued growth in each and every one of us throughout the entire corporation, to continually have a culture, because this is what I'm all about. This is what our leadership team is all about, and it's about getting better at what we're doing on an everyday basis. So when you see lots of things that change on a rapid basis, the It's because we are seeing things, we see some things that don't work, that need to be fixed, and we try to fix them and make them better. We don't change things just for change's sake. We change things in order to continuously improve. And many of you who are here today have embraced that idea, even through it being a painful experience many times, because change is not a comfortable place to be. But this culture of continued improvement has really, I think, has begun, and in my opinion, from what I'm seeing, it's taking shape, and we're getting better at what we're doing on a very regular basis. Another thing that I want to start to talk about more, and David Hubble will definitely be a big part of this, but it's a culture of friend-raising and a culture of fundraising. So relationship building is really the key to fundraising. When you think of cultivating relationships, that's really the name of the game. It's not about some gimmick. Fundraising is about people believing in a mission and a vision and walking with you. So each and every one of you that are in here are part of this movement. Is this also, so for everybody in the whole corporation, each and every one of you is part of this. So when you're thinking through what you do on a daily basis here with this organization, and you're talking to people about it, well, you already believe in what we're doing because you're here, you're part of us. But simply beginning to talk to people about that is what it really comes down to. And then you never know who you meet. You meet people that you would never think are people that can help you in very significant ways. And generally speaking, that's the way, and I know David would also agree, that's the way that it happens. When you have somebody that is going to come and be a major supporter of the organization, generally speaking, you would never have thought that when you see an individual. So I think it's very important. The main goal of fundraising is recurring supporters. That's what it comes down to. We don't want somebody to come to a banquet and say, oh, that's nice, and give you a $100 check, and then you don't ever see them again. Well, no, we want that to be a way to show them the work that we are doing in order to then create relationships with people to see if they want to join hands with us in a long-term partnership. I often talk about the 3 missions that I see in this organization, and the first mission for me, that is obviously our patients and our students in the program, the people that we serve. But second, for me, it's all of you. Making sure that all of you are able to move forward in the things that you want to move forward with in your own lives. And it's taking care of all of you. But then third, it's also our supporters. So when each and every one of us are out there in the community and talking about the organization with people, that is a bit of a responsibility to begin that process of getting to know who people are and then passing on information and building relationships and cultivating relationships, because people are partnering with us and saying, we want to support what you all are doing. So I think that's very important. When it comes down to individuals, churches, corporations, it's all the same. It's all about building relationships, and all of you have a part in that. I would say that it's built on a level of trust that what we're doing is that we're trying to save lives. And all of you that are part of this corporation are here because you believe in the work that's being done. So I'm trying to make the point that this should be easy for you to talk about what's going on here. We have recently developed what we're calling a recurring gift campaign. And this recurring gift campaign is something I want David to really start talking about with all of us. But it's a little tool that we made that would be similar to something that you would see with a nonprofit. You'll see a commercial on television that says, support the organization at $10 a month or $20 a month or $20,000 a month, however it works. I mean, I'm sure David wouldn't mind that either. But there's what we did is we created a resource for each of you, and David maybe you can email it out so everybody could see it. But what it's doing is I feel like it's going to make this process even easier for all of you. And I know that we're already starting to talk about it when we're out in the public, at churches and things. But it's a paper that really has the stuff that's listed on there. So if you have somebody that you're talking to about the organization, you could say, well, here's a way to support, and we have this brochure type of paper that's already been created that somebody then can partner with us. And even if they're partnering with us for $10 a month, which many people can do, that is greatly beneficial. Think about it. If you get 1,000 people to give $10 a month, well, we've just created an extra $10,000 a month for the organization. So when you think through that, if you're out and you're saying, okay, I want to embrace this idea of a fundraising culture, but I'm kind of afraid to talk to people about asking people for money because I feel like it's this or I feel like it's that, which that's the number one thing that people don't want to do. It's just a level of discomfort. Well, this then is a tool that you can use that says, hey, you know, we really do have this thing here. Check this thing out, and it's a unique way, because if you're already building a relationship with somebody, well, this should maybe take away some of that fear as well. And David's going to start talking about it on a regular basis for the rest of eternity, on a weekly basis. But really, though, in all seriousness, it's all about relationship cultivation. That's what it's all about. You believe in the mission. Well, there's many people out there that believe in the mission and the vision of what we're doing, and they're supporting us on a regular basis. But that could be so much better if every single person in this room and throughout the corporation embrace this concept and start to really talking about it. I would love to see us get to the point where we can have little internal competitions with this kind of thing to see how many people we can get supporting the organization in this. And I really kind of like that idea. But let's see where we get with it. But it's a culture of fundraising. That's the thing that's the main emphasis, is we have to have a unified front in saying, I am part of the advancement team. And I think that's hugely important for everybody to actually embrace that idea. So we have recently had strategic planning sessions in the past couple of months, or however long it's been. And a few of the things these are a couple of the big ticket items that I want to talk about today, because these are announcements as well that are really, really exciting. But some of it is not the greatest of news when you think through our current bed count, and I might be off by a little bit, and Amber might look at me and, just say, okay, he doesn't know. But when I count beds, I'm just looking off of the dashboard that I get, I see that we have approximately 337 beds dedicated to serving men. 337. And then I see that we have 20 beds dedicated to serving women. 337, 20. 337 and 20. And in my opinion, that's a problem. And it's part of the overarching organizational recognition that we have a severe underserving of women. We have different programs for women than we do for men. We have a male detox, huge male inpatient short-term program, huge programs for men with long-term, and we have a small short-term program for women and a small long-term program for women with no detox services whatsoever. So the question I've been asking myself is, why have we accepted this? And really what it comes down to is that comes down to my seat on the bus. And I believe that we must do better at that. And I think that's a significant thing. Sometimes you just ask, why are things that way? You know how that goes, and it's just the way they are. Well, if you know me at all, you know that that's not a good answer to give me, because I'm not, that's just not a concept that I accept very easily. Well, it's just the way that it was. It tends to frustrate me slightly, or more. So one of the things that we realized in doing this, I know, it is what it is. We have to have the same services for men and for women. So here in the coming months, and I'm hoping that it's much sooner than later, is we are going to dedicate some of the beds that we have here, up there, in our detox for women. Yeah. So we currently have our 28-bed detox, And we're going to take a couple of beds away. We're going to make it a 26-bed detox. We're going to dedicate 8 beds in our current detox in one of the wings for women, adding bathrooms and showers and all of that. We're going to put a thick cement wall between with fences, and we're going to have the windows and everything. However, what this is it's a strong, good step in the right direction. And the current staffing that we have in our medical team, we're going to continue to increase that level, which we all know that pay attention to it, that we continuously need additional support. But having services dedicated to women is something that should be an organizational mandate for us, and I'm really excited that we are going to take this step in this direction, because then we will have at least equal services. We still want to have equal capacity, but at the same time, we are looking to add some capacity, and we may end up doing some of this work in another location that we currently have. So our goal would be to hopefully get ourselves from this 20 beds to hopefully somewhere around 50, and it's a step in the right direction, but it's not an end goal by any stretch. So when we do this, we will at least increase capacity from 20 to 28. But again, that's just an initial step in the right direction, but a very, very important one. And I'm very proud of us as an organization of embracing this and moving forward in this way. Another addition is how many of you were at Celebrate last year when I was talking at Celebrate? Some of you. Oh, so there's a lot of you. Okay. I didn't think it was going to be like 30 people. One of the big ticket items that I had announced last year in July at Celebrate was that by hopefully this Celebrate, that we would have an intensive outpatient program here on this campus. And it's something that ever since the day that I said that, and obviously I try to keep very, very close tabs on those types of statements, but I believe that around that time, or somewhere in that general time frame, that we will have an intensive outpatient program right here on this campus. And we've already begun changing some things around in order to do that. But there's a big picture, and there's a reason as to why we would want to do this. You see, when somebody comes through our licensed detox program and then into our short-term program, and they're coming through whatever type of means they're getting here, whether it's Medicaid or insurance or however they come through, when individuals then transition into our long-term program, what ends up happening is that is a non-regulated program, and it's a program that we offer that is very much donor supported, and I think we all know that. There's not a whole lot of money that gets brought in from any other type of means. It's primarily donor funded, and that means that we are able to offer services. So if you think about it, when people transition into our long-term program, according to the regulating people out there, they're living at our place and part of our thing. So with us adding this intensive outpatient program, the initial step in doing that is to bring the individuals who are going into our long-term program into an added level of clinical care. So while they're in our long-term program, they can also then go to outpatient counseling. So we will now have the benefit of the pastoral mentors, plus the clinical care that individuals need, which will help us to deal with many of the other situations that we end up with when it comes to medications and things like that. We will have a different level of care that'll be equal to, or close to, I should say, the inpatient program, but at the same time, we will have a pastoral mentor staff. So we will have what I would say would be the best of both worlds. And at the end of the day, this is going to make the program better. Everybody that's coming through the doors will have better programming, better services, and at the end of the day, long-term sustainable success in the lives of the people that we serve in relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ is the top priority. So whatever we can do to add to that is a good thing. So I'm really, really excited about adding that. I think it's also then going to help us with funding the program as well, because we then can utilize the same type of services we're utilizing to be paid for some of these other services that we will also be able to do with the outpatient program. And it does not impact the Teen Challenge program whatsoever. So if you're wondering, there would be no added regulations or anything to what we're currently doing. So the discipleship program is the exact same way it is, because you literally walk out of the doors to go to another place for this counseling. So there would be no changes or anything, because that, of course, would be a top concern of mine, and I know of yours as well. So I think those are two huge pushes that we have to get these things moving in the right direction in the very, very near future. And at the end of the day, we want to better serve women. We want to have equal services for women that we have for men. And then we also want to add this outpatient component, which then we will also have to do somehow for the women in the future here. So these are a couple big pieces here. And just a reminder of the overarching goal as to why we do what we do. We are here to help preserve human life. We're here to provide expanded services in order to have this wider net, in order for people to come into this net, in order to not let people go through the net, and then ultimately to facilitate opportunities for people to come into a living relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. So I want to restate that little quote I had at the beginning, and I'm pretty much done here. See, that was relatively painless, for me at least. If the pathway to future success was well lit, it would be a crowded destination. And I think that's very, very important. But we know, again, having pioneered things that have never been done in the history of Teen Challenge, that that's simply not the case. Someone has to have the courage to lead, and that is what we as an organization are doing. And the end game is lives are being saved because of it. So I appreciate all of you and thank all of you for helping us in this vision we have that's up here of bringing wholeness to the hopeless. You're all appreciated so much. I am honored to serve along with you, and I'm excited for the future of the organization. Thank you.